The road to the village appears only once, and those who take it are never seen again. The sky was wrong. It wasn't just dark, it felt sealed. Like something above had swallowed the moon whole and refused to give it back. Zuberi Kainyo slowed his jeep to a stop. His headlights flickered once, then steadied, illuminating a narrow dirt road ahead, cracked, uneven, and completely absent from his GPS. He checked again. Nothing. No signal, he muttered, tapping the screen. Static. That's when he noticed something else. The silence. No wind. No insects. No distant animals. Just a suffocating stillness pressing against his ears. Zuberi swallowed hard. He had chased strange stories before, vanishing towns, forgotten tribes, myths no one could prove. But this felt different. This felt like the story was watching him. Then, far ahead. A faint orange glow. A village. His instinct screamed at him to turn back. But curiosity had always been his curse. The moment he stepped out of the jeep, the air changed. He could feel it. Thick. Heavy. Almost alive. Each step toward the village felt slower, like the ground itself resisted him. The houses came into view, wooden, broken, leaning at unnatural angles. Doors slightly open. Windows dark and hollow. Abandoned. Or so it seemed. Zuberi raised his camera, snapping a few quick shots. The flash burst through the darkness. And for a split second, he thought he saw someone standing behind one of the windows. Watching him. He lowered the camera. Nothing. Hello, he called out. His voice didn't echo. It just died. Then. Bang. A door slammed shut somewhere deep in the village. Zuberi froze. His heart pounded in his chest. Who's there? He shouted, turning toward the sound. No answer. But he wasn't alone. He knew it. You don't spend years chasing the unknown without learning that feeling. The feeling of being watched. A slow creak broke the silence. From the shadows between two houses. Something moved. A figure. It stepped forward into the dim light. An old woman. Her back slightly bent. Her skin pale and stretched thin over sharp bones. But her eyes were sharp. Too sharp. Locked directly onto him. You shouldn't be here, she said softly. Her voice wasn't loud. But it carried weight, like it didn't need volume to be heard. Zuberi forced himself to stay calm. I'm a journalist, he said. I'm documenting. No one comes here, she interrupted. Her expression didn't change. Not by accident. A chill ran down his spine. I saw the road, Zuberi replied. It led me here. The woman tilted her head slightly. The road, she whispered. Then she smiled. And that smile. It wasn't welcoming. It wasn't kind. It was the kind of smile you see right before something goes terribly wrong. The road only appears, she said slowly, for those the village chooses. Zuberi felt his stomach drop. Chooses, he repeated. The woman took one step closer. You are already inside, she said. Her eyes darkened. And no one, she whispered, ever leaves. Behind him. The sound of his jeep engine clicked, then died completely. As if something had just turned it off. Or taken it away. The village doesn't just trap you, it waits for night to decide what to do with you. Zuberi didn't turn around. He couldn't. The old woman's words clung to him like cold fingers around his throat. No one ever leaves. That wasn't a warning. That was a fact. A faint crackling sound broke the silence. Fire. Zuberi looked past the woman and realized something terrifying. The village wasn't empty anymore. Torches. Dozens of them. One by one, they lit up across the houses, like eyes opening in the dark. Figures began to emerge. Men. Women. Children. All stepping out slowly, silently. Watching him. No one spoke. No one blinked. Zuberi's breathing became uneven. I didn't mean to intrude. I'll just leave. A few of them smiled. But it wasn't relief. It was amusement. You still think living is a choice, the old woman said. Behind Zuberi, something shifted. A low dragging sound. He turned. And his heart dropped. The road. It was gone. Where his jeep once stood, there was nothing but thick forest. Dense. Endless. Impossible. No, no, that's not possible, he whispered, backing up. He ran forward, pushing past branches, stepping into the trees. But after just a few steps, he stopped. Because he was back. Back in the same spot. Same ground. Same villagers. Like the forest had folded him in on himself. A quiet laugh rippled through the crowd. Not loud. Not human. You see it now, the old woman said, stepping closer. The village doesn't let go. Zuberi turned to her, panic rising fast. What is this place? For a moment, her expression changed. Not into anger. But into something worse. Sadness. We were like you once, she said. The villagers behind her lowered their heads slightly. We came here by accident. We tried to leave. Her eyes met his again. We failed. A sudden scream shattered the air. Sharp. Terrified. Human. Zuberi spun toward the sound. At the far edge of the village, a young man was running. Sprinting toward the forest. Help me, he screamed. I found a way out. Hope flickered in Zuberi's chest. The man kept running. Closer. Closer to the trees. Then. He froze. Mid-step. His body locked in place. Like time itself had stopped him. No, Zuberi whispered. The villagers didn't move. They didn't react. They just watched. Like they had seen this before. The air grew colder. Darker. Something shifted in the shadows between the trees. Something tall. Something wrong. It didn't work. It unfolded. The young man began to shake violently. His scream returned, louder this time, filled with pure agony. Please. Then. Silence. His body collapsed. Not fell. Collapsed. Like something inside him had been removed. Zuberi staggered back, his mind refusing to process what he had just seen. What was that? He asked, his voice barely a whisper. The old woman didn't answer immediately. Instead, she turned her gaze toward the forest. Respectfully. Fearfully. That, she said slowly, is why no one escapes. The torches flickered. The villagers stepped back, creating space around Zuberi. A circle. His chest tightened. Why are you all looking at me like that? No one answered. But this time, their smiles returned. Wider. Hungrier. The old woman raised her hand slightly. And in a low voice, she said, "The village has seen you." She paused. Then added, "And tonight." Her eyes locked onto his. "You will be judged." Somewhere deep in the darkness, something breathed. In this village, you are not chosen to die. You are chosen for something far worse. The circle tightened. Zuberi's pulse thundered in his ears as the villagers stepped closer, slow, synchronized, like they were part of something larger, something controlling them. "No, stay back," he warned, his voice shaking. No one listened. They never did. Two men grabbed his arms. Their grip was cold. Too cold. Zuberi struggled. "Let me go. I didn't do anything." "You did," the old woman said calmly. He froze. "What?" She stepped forward, her shadow stretching unnaturally long across the ground. "You came." They dragged him across the village. His boots scraped against the dirt, passing over strange markings carved into the ground, symbols that looked ancient and wrong. Not written. Etched. Like they had been scratched in by something desperate. At the center of the village stood a structure Zuberi hadn't noticed before. A shrine. Made of twisted wood and bone. At its heart, a massive stone bowl. Filled with dark liquid. Thick. Still. Waiting. Zuberi's stomach turned. "What is that?" The villagers stopped. Silence fell again. Then, together, they knelt. The old woman didn't. She walked toward the shrine slowly, almost reverently. "This village," she began, "does not survive by chance." Her fingers brushed the edge of the bow. "It survives by balance." Zuberi's breathing quickened. Balance of what? She looked back at him. Her eyes no longer just human. Something deeper stared through them. Of what it takes. She paused. And what it gives. The torches dimmed. The air grew heavier. Zuberi felt it again. That presence. Closer now. Watching. "You saw what happens when someone tries to leave," she continued. "The forest takes them." Zuberi shook his head. "That thing, what is it?" The villagers whispered softly. "A name." Over and over. Low. Broken. Afraid. Nkaro. The word seemed to echo unnaturally. Like it didn't belong in the human world. Zuberi felt his chest tighten. "Nkaro," he repeated. The old woman nodded slowly. "It is the keeper of this place." Her voice dropped. "And the owner of every soul inside it." Zuberi's blood ran cold. "That's insane," he said quickly. "You're all insane. This is some kind of cult." "Then why can't you leave?" she cut in sharply. Silence. Heavy. Crushing. Zuberi had no answer. Because deep down, he knew she was right. The old woman raised her hand again. The whisper stopped instantly. "Every year," she said, "the village must offer something." Zuberi's stomach dropped. "No." Her gaze locked onto him. "Yes. You were brought here," she continued, "because it chose you." Zuberi struggled again, panic rising fast. "I'm not staying here, I'm not part of this." The villagers didn't react. But their expressions changed. Not excitement. Not joy. Relief. That's when Zuberi realized something horrifying. They weren't looking at him like prey. They were looking at him like freedom. The old woman stepped closer. "So tonight," she whispered, "you will take our place." Before he could react, one of the villagers forced his hand forward. Toward the bowl. The dark liquid inside it rippled. Alive. Zuberi screamed, trying to pull back. But the moment his fingers touched the surface, everything went silent. The world disappeared. And something ancient, opened its eyes. The moment he touched the liquid, something ancient looked back, and it knew his name. There was no sound. No light. No ground beneath him. Zuberi wasn't falling. But he wasn't standing either. He existed in a space that shouldn't exist. Endless. Weightless. Watching. Then. A whisper. Not around him. Inside him. Zuberi. His breath caught. How do you? The voice didn't let him finish. It didn't need to. Because it already knew. Suddenly. Images flooded his mind. Not memories. Not his. A man running through the forest, screaming. A woman clawing at the ground, begging to be released. A child crying as the villagers dragged him toward the same bow. Zuberi gasped. These aren't mine. They are now. The voice was deeper this time. Ancient. Heavy. Like it had been buried under the earth for centuries, waiting. Darkness shifted. It wasn't empty anymore. It was forming. Stretching. Becoming something. Zuberi tried to move. He couldn't. Something held him in place, not physically. But completely. What are you? He demanded. For a moment. Silence. Then. A shape emerged from the void. Not fully. Never fully. Because his mind couldn't understand it. Long. Endless. Twisted like shadows that refused to stay still. Eyes. Too many. Too deep. Watching him from every direction at once. Zuberi's voice broke. No, this isn't real. You are inside me now. The truth hit him like a blade. The bow. It wasn't just part of the ritual. It was a door. And he had stepped through it. I want to leave, Zuberi said quickly, panic rising. Let me out, I won't tell anyone, I swear. A low sound echoed. Not laughter. Something worse. You already belong. The darkness tightened around him. Not choking. Claiming. You came looking for a story. The voice grew closer. Clearer. More present. Now you will become one. Zuberi felt something tear inside his mind. Not pain. Not exactly. But something was being taken. Pulled apart. Stop, he screamed. The images returned. Faster now. Stronger. More violent. Every person who had ever entered the village. Every soul that had ever been offered. Every scream. Every moment. And at the center of all of it. Him. Why me? Zuberi cried. Why did you choose me? For the first time. The voice answered clearly. Because you were already empty. Zuberi froze. What? You chase darkness. You live in it. You understand it. A pause. You can hold more. The meaning sank in slowly. Horribly. This wasn't random. It wasn't luck. He wasn't chosen to die. He was chosen to replace something. No, he whispered. No, I'm not like you. You will be. The darkness surged forward. Wrapping around him completely. Entering him. Feeling every part of him. And then. Everything went black. Outside the bow. Zuberi's body stood still. Unmoving. Silent. The villagers watched. Waiting. The old woman stepped closer. Her voice barely a breath. Now we see. Zuberi's head slowly tilted upward. His eyes opened. But they weren't his anymore. They were deeper. Darker. Endless. And something inside them was looking back. When his eyes opened, the village knew it was finally free. Zuberi inhaled sharply. Air rushed into his lungs like he had been dead and just returned. But something was wrong. Very wrong. The village stood silent around him. Every face watching. Waiting. He looked down at his hands. They were steady. Too steady. No shaking. No fear. Slowly, he smiled. The old woman stepped forward, her eyes searching his face. For a moment. Tension. Uncertainty. Then. She dropped to her knees. Relief flooded her expression. "It is done," she whispered. One by one. The villagers followed. Kneeling. Bowing. Not to Zuberi, but to what was inside him. Zuberi blinked. Confused. "Why are they kneeling?" he asked. But the voice that came out wasn't fully his. It echoed. Layered. The old woman looked up, tears in her eyes. "Because we are free." Memories surged inside him. Not his own. Ancient. Endless. Hungry. He staggered slightly. "What did you do to me?" The woman stood slowly. For the first time. She smiled without fear. "We didn't do anything," she said softly. "We just gave you back to it." Zuberi's chest tightened. It. The forest trembled. A deep, distant sound echoed from within it. Recognition hit him. Too late. "Nkaro," he whispered. The moment he said the name, pain exploded inside his mind. Visions. Voices. Screams. And beneath all of it, a truth. He wasn't living. He wasn't escaping. He wasn't even Zuberi anymore. He was the door now. The villagers stepped back. Smiling. Laughing. Crying. Free. And behind them, the road slowly reappeared. For the first time in years. Someone could leave. But Zuberi didn't move. Because something deep inside him was already waiting for the next person to arrive. The moment the road reopened, the village didn't need prisoners anymore, it needed a hunter. Morning came. But the village didn't look different. It felt different. Empty. The villagers were gone. Every house abandoned. Doors open. Fires dead. Zuberi stood alone in the center. Or whatever was left of him. He could feel everything now. The ground. The air. The forest. It was all connected. To him. A slow breath escaped his lips. But it wasn't relief. It was hunger. Then. A sound. An engine. Zuberi's head turned sharply toward the edge of the village. The road. It was back. Clear. Visible. Waiting. And on it. A car. A young woman stepped out, holding her phone. Confused. "Hello," she called out. "Is anyone here?" Zuberi didn't move. Not yet. Something inside him stirred. Guiding him. Teaching him. Wait. The woman walked forward slowly, looking around. "This place wasn't on the map," she whispered. Zuberi smiled. The same words. The same curiosity. The same mistake. He stepped out from the shadows. The woman froze. Relief filled her face. "Oh, thank God, someone's here. I thought I was lost." "You are," Zuberi said. She laughed nervously. "Yeah. I guess I am. Can you tell me how to get out of here?" For a moment. Silence. Then Zuberi took a step closer. His eyes darker than before. Deeper. Endless. "You don't leave this place," he said calmly. Her smile faded. What? Behind her. The road slowly disappeared. The forest shifted, closing in. No, she whispered, turning back. No, 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 where did it go? Zuberi kept walking toward her. Slow. Controlled. Certain. This village, he said, only opens once. Her breathing turned frantic. Stay away from me. But it was already too late. Because now, he wasn't trapped inside the village. The village was inside him. You can run from the village, but you can't run from what it becomes. She ran. Branches tore at her arms as she pushed through the forest, her breath breaking into sharp, panicked gasps. There has to be a way out, there has to be. Behind her. Nothing. No footsteps. No sound. That was worse. She turned. And froze. Zuberi stood between the trees. Far away. Watching. How did you? He was suddenly closer. She screamed and ran again. Faster. Desperate. The forest twisted around her. Paths shifted. Trees closed in. No, no, no. She stumbled. Fell hard to the ground. Silence. Slowly, she looked up. Zuberi stood right in front of her now. Unmoving. Unblinking. Tears streamed down her face. Please, just let me go. For a moment. Something flickered in his eyes. Something human. Then. Gone. You were chosen, he said softly. The ground beneath her began to darken. Spreading. Like liquid shadow. She screamed. But no one heard. Because the forest wasn't trapping her anymore. It was taking her. And Zuberi just watched. The truth isn't that no one escapes, it's that the village never runs out of replacements. Her scream faded into silence. The forest stilled. And just like that, it was over. Zuberi stood alone again. Breathing slowly. Calm. Empty. Then. Memories shifted. Not his. Hers. Her fear. Her thoughts. Her last moments. He felt them all. And deep inside, something smiled. Days passed. Or maybe hours. Time didn't matter anymore. The village reset. Houses repaired. Doors closed. Smoke rising from chimneys like nothing ever happened. Waiting. Then. The road appeared again. A motorbike this time. A young man stopped, staring ahead. Confused. Curious. Zuberi watched from the shadows. He already knew what would happen. The same questions. The same fear. The same ending. Because the truth was simple. The village doesn't trap people. It feeds. And every soul it takes becomes part of it. Zuberi stepped forward, his face calm, almost welcoming. Are you lost? He asked softly. The man nodded. Behind him, the road vanished. And the cycle began again. If this story gave you chills, you're not ready for what's coming next. Hit subscribe right now, because the next story is even darker, and trust me, some stories should never be heard.